And welcome back, everybody, to the WoW Nightcap. My name is Flattus. Excuse me. My name is Flattus. With me, as always, my good friend and co-host, Talan.
How's it going?
All right. Well, welcome back to the tavern, everybody. Thank you for your patience. Talan is back. Thank you for everybody that sent out good vibes, positive thoughts his way. Um, I know, I know it meant the world to him. When things happen family-wise, it's good to know that others are keeping people in their thoughts. So, um, Talon, you've been away for a little bit. How are you doing?
Yeah, man, I've been away for a little while. Um, so I've been gone. I've been dealing with some family's issues. For those of you who don't know, I've lost a few family members in the span of a very short amount of time. And those of you who did send out condolences and the vibes and things of that nature, I do sincerely appreciate it. It has helped, even though I haven't been able to reach out and respond to everybody who has expressed concern. Just know that it did mean a lot, and it was something that I was keeping in my pocket when I needed to either look back, read it, or listen in on some more jovial notes, for sure. But outside of all of the doom and gloom, I've been okay. Haven't been able to do a bunch of WoW things recently because I've been preoccupied, obviously. But I've been okay. I've been able to log in sporadically here and there just to kind of see what's going on. Look at the trader posts, look at the upcoming anniversary, which we'll talk about here in a bit, and just basically get hyped for things coming on the horizon. Um, but what about you, Flattus? You've been holding down the fort, picking up my tab for me. So what's been going on with you?
Oh, uh, mostly planning, uh, you know, a wedding. So it's mostly what I've been doing. Uh, so you know, luckily I'm in a good place in Warcraft, but up to where I want to be with the current patch. Uh, so that I don't feel like I'm being. I feel like no, I don't feel like I'm being. Keeping anything on the back burner. I feel like I'm leaving with anything undone currently. Because when uh the time you listen to this, the World of Warcraft 20th anniversary patch will be out. So
Yes, it will. As of this recording, it comes out tomorrow.
yeah, which brings a slew of new things. There's so much content that I'll try to divvy up in a small pocket and then dive deeper into. So there's going to be a brand new
Well,
currency, the bronze celebration tokens. There's going to be the new Blackrock Depths raid. We're going to be able to collect the tier 2 transmog sets. There's
super
the
hype about that.
yeah. We're going to be time walking through classic World of Warcraft dungeons. There's going to be new mounts. Uh, Blizzard Employee Service Wars cosmetics. There's going to be the events at the Cavern of Times. There's going to be Chromie events. There's going to be new secrets and solve them with guest relations. There's going to be party crashing world bosses. There's going to be PvP Revenge of Korax Revenge in Alterac Valley. And celebrate 30 years of World of Warcraft 3 themed back appearances at the trading post. It is on. It's so much. So many
Yeah,
things.
there is a lot going on with that anniversary event, and not least of all, some callbacks that I think are absolutely appropriate. But we'll get into that in just a second because I do want to talk about some of those callbacks. But before we jump into that, retail, has there been anything in WoW so far for the War Within that you have not been able to try yet?
I think I've done the only thing I haven't done yet, and it's only because I haven't had time, was I haven't done LFR for the new raid. which I'm sure if I go in now, I should be able to do all the wings and go through everything, and be okay. Delves, I want to dig deeper into delves. I definitely want to go do the ending boss and get my dirigible, the uh, skin that I want so much.
Hmm.
Delves have really been the like mythic dungeons are getting such a bad rap currently, and delves seem to be what people want to do because you can flex like, hey, I want to just it's a small group thing. I don't feel pressure. There's no, I don't worry about someone burning a key. I think what this tells us is that people want to be able to do dungeons or mythics or whatever and not feel bad about failing, right?
I
So,
mean, it's almost like you want to be able to practice the content without fear of losing out on content.
yeah, like I don't want my key demoted. I want to do the like so I feel like Blizzard still needs to learn some things about like how to like I to me, why not just make the keys not like give it like every key has like 3 chances on it before it reverts back down a level, right? Like I feel like that's fair. I would feel like, hey, that's a good compromise. That way, if like you fail a run with randos, which happens, right? Your key is not compromised in any way, and you have at least 2 more shots at that key before it drops down a level.
See, I like that idea, but this is what I would propose. Um, that like keys up to level 10 or 12 even like have no penalty. You just get to do that to completion. And then 10 onward is where okay, like if you're doing 10 plus, then you should have a pretty good understanding of how your class works, of how the dungeon works, and how the affixes are going to bone you. So that's the level where I'd just be like, let people just engage with the content. One, I think it would make Mythic Plus a lot more interesting to watch. Not that it isn't now, but like imagine if you could go in and actually practice on a level 10 a few times before you jumped it up to a 15 or a 20, and just to see what you can do and how to map it out, which is already happening anyway, right? But without risk of losing those keys while you're practicing. I think that would increase the level of play that we see from those Mythic Plus dungeon players, which I think would be pretty cool to see. But this is also coming from someone who doesn't, if I go past 6 or 7, that's a good run for me. And I'm just kind of like, okay, I don't really want to put forth the effort to go much higher than this. Not because of inability, but just because that takes a bit more commitment than maybe I have time for in a week.
No, I agree with you. Um, I think you're right. Like I think anything below level 10, maybe don't lose the key. Anything after that, you get a 3 shot on the key after that. I know
See,
Blizzard. I think Blizzard would be like,
yes.
well, I think Blizzard would be like, well, like there needs to be some I think there is a penalty still, but at least
Yeah.
nobody feels bad, right? And nobody's gonna want to leave or kick anybody or, like, all
Or
right, like,
not
hey,
bring you into the group,
yeah,
which is a whole other conversation, which we should probably do a whole episode about just that idea. But
there, it's so weird to me, but like, I think people feel like I know people want to be challenged. Don't get me wrong. That's why rating exists. That's why mythics exist. That's why mythic rating exists. And I know people want to do mythic dungeons because it gives them the challenge on a smaller party level.
right.
But
But
delves can let you do that without feeling bad about it, right? Like there's
that's
no like
exactly what I was going to say. That's exactly right. Because what were heroics originally intended to do? They
originally they were
were.
originally supposed to be like the this is what you do before you step into a normal raid, right? Like,
Mhm.
you do this so that way you can go into this next level of the content.
Right. And it was supposed to allow some sort of challenge that kind of like a skill check.
Yeah.
Do you, do you know what you're doing? If not, here's a place where you could actually learn and practice. But now it doesn't feel like, and this could just be me. So if you're one of those who disagree with me, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your side of this. But it feels like heroic is now the standard. Like when you queue up for any of your dailies that you do, I don't think too many people are queuing up for their random dungeon. It's mostly the random heroic. Now you might do it for, you know, for the gold that it gives you, the 93 that it throws towards you, but you know, for the most part, if you're going to go do content and you've got a little bit of time, most people, I think, and this is heavy assumptions here, are just going to do the heroic, which are like is now considered the standard, right? You should know how to at this point, especially if you're jumping into end game, do heroic dungeons, right? Um, and that's like the first tier into this. But you bring up an excellent point about what delves are giving you. They're giving you the challenge that is beyond, well beyond heroic, but also feels like I'm doing mythic without the punishment. Because how many times can you go in and do a delve? As many times as you can
I was
walk
gonna
into
say,
it.
yeah, as many times you want, really.
I mean, sure, it has like a counter. Um, it has a counter for like when you're doing it, your death counter. But once that death counter goes off while you're in that attempt, it just kicks you out and you can go right back in and do it. So I really like the delve system and how you can just keep cracking at it over and over. And the other part is you're not tied into doing a specific delve for the week. You can literally pick whatever zone you want to do. And if you have a favorite dungeon or delve, sorry, if you have a favorite delve that you want to just keep cracking at over and over and over, if you want to continue to take the candle, or if you want to continue carrying around the, oh man, what is it? In the water one,
Oh, oh, you got me
the
thinking.
poison one.
The
I can't
poison,
remember
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
If I mean, if that is your jam and you just want to keep on practicing those over and over and over, and you want to push those to however high you want to go for it, you can. And if you want to challenge and that's what you want to do for the evening, you can do it. Not only can you do it, you can do it, either do it by yourself or you can do it with a group. And if your group just says, "Hey, man, I'm done. I don't think I want to go anymore," your progress isn't stopped. You then can on your own keep going, which is just fantastic. So I do think you're right that delves are actually hitting that sweet spot that players are wanting from Blizzard right now, and I really hope that Blizzard is paying attention to it. And I would love to see the statistics on how many people are doing delves now versus mythic, and in what capacity. Like, are people doing mythic to gear up for heroic raids, or like what that ratio looks like? Because this expansion and this patch specifically, um you are basically having gear thrown at you left, right, and center. So you can get up to basically any level that you want to without having touched the raids at all except for at the mythic level, I believe. If you're working your vault correctly.
Yeah. And the fact that, speaking of the vaults, the fact that I can get gear from doing the the delves out of the vault, wonderful, love it. Such a nice feeling to know that I can go pop on, do a couple delves. They're faster than sometimes the mythics, faster than the dungeons. I feel accomplished. I feel like in the time I can do like two delves, I would have done a dungeon in some aspects. Um, and then the content in the delves sometimes isn't always killing either. Sometimes it's like, oh hey, there's a puzzle over here. Like it just change. It feels good. Like it just feels like, oh hey, and I also get like fun little buffs and little things to do. And there's a lot. There's a lot of positives with the delves that
Oh
I
yeah.
can. So I don't know. I feel like I, I'm I'm not gonna. I think the affixes. I don't think it's the affixes this time around. I think the delves just opened people's eyes. Again, I could be wrong, but I feel like delves open people's eyes to like, why would I put all this? Don't get me wrong. Again, could just be
I know
me,
exactly where you're going with this.
but why would I put all this effort in to get gear and I can do like less effort and have still get rewarded and then still get a mount out of it? And like the mount for mythic, whatever, like the season, I don't think it's that great. Last time I checked, I think it's just kind of like mid. It's just like a mid mount. Just like mythic, mythic dungeon runner out there. You, hello, hi. Are you okay? Like, do you feel you feel okay? Do you feel like you're like they're good? Do you feel like you're in a good spot? Do you feel okay with the content right now? Do you feel like it now? I I mean, I know the content coming out soon is gonna be fun, but like, do you feel like mythics are in a good spot? Do you feel I don't like sentiment online to me is that people are constantly getting kicked. And
Yeah, that is the same thing that I am seeing constantly, and that your IO score just isn't. And I wonder if that is a direct reflection of where people are spending their time.
it has to be because where else are they going? Really? Because
Because there's another sentiment which we don't. With what we have to talk about this time, we don't have the time into it, and so I'm actually going to write this in our notes for next time while I'm having this conversation. Um, but there's also the sentiment about you talk about how people are getting kicked all the time, and which I've definitely seen that and can corroborate some of those anecdotes. But the way that some, and I'm saying this like, only some, not everybody, but the lack of tanks and healers recently seems to be very apparent at the moment. Um, and the way that those particular players and the responsibility to lead some of these dungeons in like the most optimal way um, is really leaning people away from doing that. And so it feels like we have less tanks and healers than we ever had before. But more specifically, because now we have delves. Why would you go in and do a mythic when people are going to tell you that you're dog water over and over and possibly kick you, when you can just go do delves by yourself or with your friends and call it done and still have a good time and still have a difficulty spike that you can enjoy?
I'm with you. I like if you run mythics with randos under a certain, I would say under a certain key type, right? Sometimes it doesn't feel that bad. But if you're pushing keys, you rather need a coordinated group, which is sometimes in itself stressful. If you try to run it with randos, you know, prot warriors and resto shamans out there right now are living. They're eating good because they're eating good right now because they're in need. But sadly, I think you know it's a world of you know
Warcraft.
yeah yeah it's that for sure. But also I think it's a the mindset of Blizzard. I know they were like, "Hey, we're gonna fix affixes this expansion," which they did. But I think part of it is, you know, how if people are getting kicked consistently from groups, are they tuned too hard? Is it worth the effort? Are people wanting to put the effort in to push the keys? if the carrot on the stick. If you know what I'm saying, like how long is the stick? How long is the rope? And how small is the carrot? uh,
I mean, innuendous analogies aside, um,
I am gonna make a new character called Innuendous.
um, yeah, I think you have a valid point, and questions that I would like an answer to. We probably won't get the answer to, but there's some questions that WoW or Blizzard should probably be answering for their player base, and I think these are some of them. And I'd like to have a deeper conversation about that, but I don't want to lose our heads over it at the moment. um, but you know, those of you who are out there who are listening to this, and I know you have opinions because we see it online. What are those opinions of in a more concise, direct way? Let us know, because I would like to see other players' perspective. Because by and large, I think Flattus, I don't necessarily mean to speak for you, but by and large, I think Flattus and I are certainly in the casual camp of this particular conversation. So if you happen to be an individual who can provide a different perspective, certainly reach out to us. We'd like to have that conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Like I would love to speak to somebody who's running Mythics and get their perspective on things. Like I'm not, again, I'm sure there's people out there like, hey, yeah, I mean consistently we do this. We love pushing the keys. It's a challenge for us. I'm sure that group exists. I would love to find maybe not the hardest of Mythic people, but like the mid-core Mythic people. Like who's out there that's just like, once I get that mount, bro, I'm done. Like, that's all I want. Just give me my mount and I am out.
Well, speaking of mounts, coming up very, very soon, you will have an opportunity to get a mount that. Do you have it?
What?
The Headless Horseman mount? I think you do.
I do not.
You don't? Well, the Halloween event starts on Friday, October the 25th. So you will have your chance at getting, I have it. Why am I blanking on it? The Headless Horseman. I think it is just called the Headless Horseman mount, is it not?
Yeah, the Headless Horseman mount, yeah. I can only hope, honestly.
How many years have you been trying for it?
What's time, really? What's just keeping track? Not me.
Yeah.
Not me.
Well, I still don't have. Wow. Yeah, the Headless Horseman mount. The Lich King has yet to bequeath me his mount. So,
Let me put it this way. At first, I was big mad, but now I'm just big sad.
Well, for Hollow's End, if you want to try your hand at it, you will be able to give it your all to take down the Headless Horseman and they get yourself the Headless Horseman mount. It is one of the coolest mounts in the game, and I'm glad that it's a recurring thing that keeps coming around, which is really funny now that I think about it. Didn't you get the Love Rocket this past season?
Last year, yeah, I got the Love Rocket.
Yeah.
And the year before that, I got the Brewfest Ram.
Yeah, you sure did. So now I don't feel bad now for bringing up the fact that I have the Headless Horseman and you have the other two.
So I still don't have the Kodo, the Brewfest Kodo, and I don't know, the Ram is still gonna just the Ram.
I love that thing.
That Ram was just a shock to me when it was like it's right when Blizzard's like, hey, we're gonna increase the count. I was like, okay, cool. It's like, oh hey Ram. So, and then
Nice.
the love rocket, it was like I never have to farm this again.
Yeah, I wish I could be in that camp. I am not in that camp.
Well, I'm in that camp as long as my friends play because I will go farm it with. I'll go. I mean, it takes all of 3 minutes to go kill that boss. I'm not too worried
Yeah,
about it,
it
but
really does. Just
yeah,
about as long as it takes. Well, no, the Brewfest boss is even faster. I think that thing you sneeze on it and it just fell over.
it really this year it really did like so, and I feel like I didn't get any viable gear for it until like the last day, and I was like, I can't even use it. I don't even want to use this thing. It's like it was like just okay enough, but not enough like gear. So I was like, ah, I love this
Yeah,
slot. It's
yeah,
like I could upgrade it. I could, but I really like the trinket I have now, so I'm not gonna.
yeah. Well, if spooky season is your thing, long fans of the show, you will know it is not my thing. I like spooky, not scary, but spooky season's your thing. There's going to be the Halloween event that starts again on October 25th. And you also have a chance at a pet here coming up in the very near future, actually starting tomorrow. You can get the Sand Scarab pets if you watch a WoW stream on Twitch from October 22nd to November 5th for 4 hours, and that does not have to be concurrent. So, and it also doesn't have to be on the same streamer either. So, as long as you get collectively 4 hours in that time frame, amongst whichever of your favorite WoW content creators are on Twitch, you will be eligible for the Sand Scarab pet. So, if that is your jam, that's your vibe. Make sure you tune in. And more specifically, I guess I should say the last campaign they had, you had to be subscribed, and um, you also had to buy a gift sub for someone on Twitch to get the owl pet. This is just hours watched, so
Yeah,
you don't have to pay money this time around.
yeah. I believe last time you got the owl pet for watching, and then if you subbed to if you gifted 2 subs, you got the ghost horse,
Mm-hmm.
ghost bone horse, or whatever it was, ghastly
That's right.
spectral horse.
One of those.
Yeah, it was spooky
Uh,
horse.
literally typed in spooky horse.
Did it work?
No, it did not. It did not. The
Oh,
game like had a stroke. It's like, what are you talking about?
does not compute.
Yeah. I'll find it in a second, but whoops. The cool thing about this particular go round, like we'd said, no purchase necessary in this particular event. And if pets are your thing, like many of our viewers who just seem to have a knack for collecting all the things that Flattus and I seem to just be allergic to and avoid us like the plague, that's another thing you can probably hold over our head because we're both very busy.
Adulting's hard.
It it really is. Remember when I was young and said, "Hey, I can't wait to lie." That was a lie. That was a lie. Should have never done that. Should have never done that. Speaking of not growing up and holding on to things of times past, we talked about it a little bit at the top of the show, but the 20th anniversary is well on its way. It will be going on tomorrow and run all the way through January 6th. So we talked about a little bit of it. What is what is the thing you're most looking forward to? Let me ask it that way.
Me? So one BlackRock Depths raid.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I knew that was going to be the answer.
Cannot wait for that. So it's, I mean, just the fact that we're going to be able to go in there with groups of 10 to 15 players. Like, it's not even like going to be 20. 10, 15, normal and heroic, and it's going to have gear sets in there, which is nice. So I'm excited. So I want that in my life. So
Well, I'm very excited about that, but that is second. That is my second favorite thing in what is going to be just an alt-tastic time for me. Is the classic tier 2 sets that are coming. Um, I want every single one of them. I want every single one of them. Um, I want the rogue. I want the demon hunter. I want the warlock. The warlock one is just very nostalgic. I mean, all of these are obviously, but if you remember the very first cinematic for World of Warcraft Classic Vanilla, um, the undead warlock that kind of like walks through, and he has the just the whole motif of the tier 2 set, just super cool. The new additions that they have to it, the invoker set, holy cow, that thing looks super nice. And I'm wondering how long you are going to farm the monk set, because that
the
looks right up your alley.
the monk set is so good. It's so good. It's so good. It's just it's got the dragons adornments on it. It's got lightning cracks like crackling all over it. Like it's such
It's
a
got
good
the
set.
hat.
Yeah, it's got the hat. Like, don't get me
Oh,
wrong, I'm a prot warrior. The prot warrior set looks like, well, it's not the not my favorite set. It's
how do you
okay.
feel about axes?
Yeah, it's a lot of like I
Because
slice,
that,
I dice, I can make Julian fries. Like, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like,
yeah, that has a lot of ask.
and
Yeah.
like the Death Knight set looks good. It looks like it would be part of this series. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot. I mean, also I gotta say that it's nice of Blizzard to make the all the sets that are that have like a robe style that will also be able to get like a pants version as well. So that way,
Yes, that is also that is chef's kiss on that one. But the creme de la creme, which has been the conversation piece as soon as we all knew that this was coming, but the updated, let me rephrase it, the updated texture model of the tier 2 set for, and say it with me, Paladin. Holy freaking crap. All the puns intended. That thing just looks very sexy. It glows. It's got writing on it. It has the bits that should stick out or sticking out. It's not just a flat picture anymore. Um, it just is so cool. I love it. And I'm going to race a guildmate, Nithor, to see who can get it first. It will probably be him, and he will have both because I'm pretty sure he has the original one. But I
he
digress.
he farmed the original one too. So
Yes, yeah. But I'm very much looking forward to all of these. Bias aside, outside of Prot Warrior and outside of Monk, if you had to put any of these at like S tier, which one are you throwing in S tier? Class bias aside, so just design only.
ooh, Druid one's really good.
The
Really
silhouette
good.
on that is very nice.
Yeah, Druid's really good. Rogue's really nice on the. I mean, there's some classic ones. Shaman's nice. Hunter, Hunter's. If I had to go in reverse order, Hunter's pretty much. Hunter may be like bottom of the pack. I don't know what's going on with that Hunter set. It's goofy looking.
There's dragons.
There's a
There's
lot of
lots of dragons. There's
there's
a lot of dragons.
a lot of dragons. It's it's okay. It's just okay. It's just a big bull. Okay. Mage set's always the mage set looks good. Oh, man, like if I had to give one S tier rank, I mean the paladin set's iconic. It's so iconic. Like
True,
that
true,
that is
true.
it's just I mean even I can admit like hey that is a damn good set. Like I knew of paladins who still would wear like transmog into that set just because it's such a good set. So if I had to give S tier rank, it's gonna be the paladin set. The the bot like low A, I'd say I would say S tier. It's gonna be paladin, druid, paladin, druid, warlock. A rank, warrior, monk. Warrior, monk, priest, mage, death knight, and then B tier, everything else but hunter. And then hunter is
But
hunter's bad. Hunter's bad. It's not. I just don't like it. It's such a weird set for hunters. It's such a weird looking set.
It is very busy, and why they leaned into the chain part of that particular tier, I don't know, because if I remember correctly, there was a leather set that worked pretty well for them too. So I don't know. Interesting choice. I think it's a little too much for hunters. I feel like they could have gone in a more leathery direction. I think it would have fit better, but it's not bad. But compared to like, it's not bad in such that like you get to go to Baskin Robbins and you still have ice cream before you and you're still going to have a good time. And so when you compare it to the rest of them, it kind of falls short. But you know, womp womp. One of them had to be the worst. And sorry, hunters. Looks like it's your bag to hold this time around.
Yeah. It's such a weird. Because even I think like the tier 3 sets would have been maybe better. The 2.5 sets, the Encourage set would have been like. I mean, I know it's the tier 2 sets. Like if you're bringing out tier 2, you're doing tier 2.
Well, I mean, okay, and then think about it this way: if paladins were the only one who got the renewed chance at tier 2, and druids didn't, no, I think people would have rioted.
Oh, for sure.
I don't think that would have been taken too kindly at all. The FOMO would have definitely been real.
Oh yeah, no, there's no question. There's no question about that.
But speaking of FOMO, have you ever played WoW and seen a very unique item mount that you just had no idea where to get it from, and no matter how hard you search, you just couldn't figure it out?
I mean, there's some I've asked people where they've gotten it.
Well, there are Blizzard employee exclusive items that are just not available to the normal player base, and we are now going to have our chance at getting some of those things. And this particular one is just kind of like a stab to me personally, because I've been farming for the Ashes of Alar mount for how long has that been out? A really long time. And I still haven't gotten it. And it looks like we are going to get the Cold Flame Tempest mounts as part of the anniversary event that we will be able to buy with bronze tokens as part of this cool thing that they have, which apparently is one of the special service awards that were given to Blizzard employees. So that's really cool to see. And have you seen this mount yet?
I have, but I'm gonna give you a small correction. So
okay,
this mount was created for the anniversary event for players, not for.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Also, so what they're referring to with these service rewards is that Blizzard employees get certain. Let me scroll down to them. Blizzard employees get like however many years they're there, they get like certain like a shield and a sword. So they took those like Blizzard like employee milestones, and then they're now putting them in games so we can buy them and have them as transmogs.
That's really cool. Yeah. That sword is something that I would really, really want. I want that IRL, but I'm not a developer, so
I'm sure if you ask.
That's when somebody just, hey, give me your 5-year sword that you got. That's a very exclusive item that you can't get anywhere else. Um,
You'd be surprised.
you know what? I'm gonna put it out there just to see.
You never know.
Might get a ridiculous number, but you know, hey,
So there might be somebody out there that's like, yeah, I quit Blizzard. Here. Take
yeah.
it.
Well, I'm gonna put that tweet in Blue Sky out tomorrow evening. Is what I'm gonna do that.
Yes. Not, not to get social media, but it's so funny that like all of a sudden over the weekend, I'm like, I got a lot of Blue Sky invites. All of a
Yeah,
sudden.
yeah. I was like, I've ignored this thing, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah,
a surge, just a surge.
yeah. Terms of service changed and weird. Like a lot of
Yeah.
friends. I made a lot of friends over the weekend.
Um, but the 20th anniversary seems to be shaping up to be really, really nice. Tons of rewards that are coming. If you want a bigger breakdown of like everything that you're going to get, I would suggest going to the website. But just to kind of quickly go over some of them, you get a Core Hound chain, which teaches you the Core Hound mount, the Obsidian World Breaker, which is also a mount that you'll be able to get. There are 2 pets, the Molten Corgi, which if you don't have the Molten Corgi yet, this will be a great way to farm that and be able to get your hands on it. Nixian, Whelpling, Hate Spark the Tiny, and Baby Blizzard Bear, which that's the one out of all of these because I have the little Corgi already, but I want Baby Blizzard Bear. I do not have that one yet, and I want him, and I need him.
I will say, Hate Spark the Tiny coming back out. I know there's it's one of the rarest pets in the game because there was a anniversary event that happened, and that was a rare drop off the Ragnaros raid that they put back in.
Mm-hmm.
So when they did that, I was like, I got Hate Spark like first drop,
Oh,
A-
nice.
and then I can't tell you how mad people were in that raid. I got like some serious like messages to be like, I will give you like 60,000 gold right now. And that still,
Holy cow.
yeah, I think still to this day, if you check like the auction house for like a fully leveled hate Spark the Tiny, um, maybe not, I think maybe it might have dropped because it's coming back out. But if
Right.
people don't buy it or realize that it's there, this thing still sells pretty like hotcakes. It's a it's a guaranteed moneymaker. I will never part with it. So
I didn't even know it was that sought after. It wasn't necessarily my cup of tea, so I didn't like the drive for owning it just really wasn't there for me. But had I known that it could have landed me a pretty penny, I might have tried to farm it at one point.
I mean, if you were running that raid, you and everybody else were farming it. I know
Yeah.
people were like mad. They're like, I didn't get it. I was like, I got it. I got the thing.
Woo!
Yeah. Yeah. So, um, so speaking of the thing, uh, and I say this with a certain thing came out on October 8th, and it's currently a bestseller. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Jason Schreier. I was trying to merge first name, last name. Jason Schreier, article writer, author, uh, New York Times bestseller, for uh, driving, for writing some fantastic books, Blood, Sweat, and Pixels, Press Reset, has now written a new book called Play Nice: The Rise and Fall and Future of Blizzard Entertainment. Uh, so I'll read the little transcript here so you can kind of get an understanding what this book might be about. For video game fans, the name Blizzard Entertainment was once synonymous with perfection. The renowned company behind classics like Diablo, World of Warcraft, was well known to celebrate the joy of gaming over all else. was once two UCLA students' simple mission to make games they wanted to play, launched an empire with thousands of employees, millions of fans, and billions of dollars. But when Blizzard canceled a buzzy project in 2013, it gave Bobby Kotick, the infamous CEO of corporate parent Activision, the excuse he needed to start cracking down on Blizzard's proud autonomy. Activision began invading Blizzard from the inside. Glitchy products, PR disasters, mass layoffs, and a staggering lawsuit marred the company's reputation and led to its ultimate reckoning. Based on firsthand interviews with more than 300 current and former employees, Play Nice chronicles creativity, frustration, beauty, and betrayal across the epic 33-year saga of Blizzard Entertainment, showing us what it really means to bleed Blizzard blue. Full of colorful personalities and dramatic twists, this is the story of what happens when the ruthless pursuit of profit meets artistic idealism. Honestly,
And I want to read this. I really do. Um, with a description like that, holy cow!
yeah.
So we've talked about some of the things that are in this book before at
Mhm.
length.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it all being comprised in? I'm not gonna say digestible because I haven't read the book myself yet. But how do you feel about what is essentially a compendium of events cataloging the 33 years of Blizzard, which will undoubtedly bring up the topics that at one point caused us to step away from the microphone? What's your thought about that?
I think that there's a lot of I think there's a lot of truths that are going to be coming, that will come out in this book, right? Like some of it that we know of, like Mike Morheim left because he could no longer protect the autonomy and the people at Blizzard, right?
Do
But
you
we
think that there are things
also,
that?
I was gonna
Well,
say
go ahead.
we also know that Mike Morheim wasn't really protecting them anyway. Like, but it was he.
Mhm.
I have not read the book. Clearly, I'm not. I don't want to speak, and maybe there is something in there that states like, Mike Morheim couldn't protect the people because he was too busy protecting the company against Bobby Kotick, and like he would have if he knew things were going like that could very listen. Being a CEO is not easy work. Like I'm not excusing anybody either. I just don't know. I have not read the book. Not trying to make excuses for anybody either. What happened at Blizzard definitely not should not be happening at any company. Um, I'm siding with the victims here, absolutely, but I don't know. Like clearly, clearly, things happened in such a way that Mike Morhaime left, and every CEO after Mike Morhaime was either fired or walked away, or was asked to walk away.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say, or like, hey, you either leave or are you,
Yeah.
sort of thing. But the question that I was gonna ask is that you bring up uh, an excellent thought about some of these things, and it is certainly in line with the question that I was going to ask. Do you think that Jason Schreier held on to maybe some of his? I mean, he almost certainly would have had to, I would guess, but some of his journalistic privilege were in his interviews that he actually talked to other people about. And this, like, we're going to discover things for the first time ever through this book.
I think so.
And
Jason
also, like,
Schreier said it
this
was
book would have had to have been written while all of that stuff was happening, but is just now coming out now that Bobby Kotick has fully and truly gotten his claws away from Blizzard.
I don't know when he started writing the book. I'd be interested in knowing, like, hey, when was the starting? When did he start writing this?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
384 pages.
yeah. Um, You know,
But
I
anyway, yeah. Do you think that we're gonna find out some information that was beforehand unrevealed?
oh for sure, yeah. There's gonna be stuff in there. I think there's gonna be a lot of stuff in there that we're not gonna know. We as people are not gonna know about until it comes out, until we read the book and be like, okay, like he, like how much is this is like bringing the gaming industry to light, you know, and I think if anything, and here's the kicker, if anything, Jason Schreier is going to put a lot of realization into players' minds. I think, and I'm saying this as a gamer, and I think a player of video games along with you, is that some players are now just starting to realize that companies are just corporate entities, and they don't really care about what we think or what we want as long as we give them our money. And I think that this book is going to shed a lot of light on that. Regardless, you could replace it with EA or any other company. It doesn't have to be Blizzard specifically. But I think it's going to shine a lot of light on the we are just dollar signs to them. Where in humble beginnings, yeah, they wanted to create games they wanted to play. They did. And eventually money took control. And that's why looking at it's why it's so important for us as gamers to be one discerning, to make sure we're looking at indies and smaller dev studios that are making really good games. Um, so that way they're getting noticed, you know, and looking at like indie MMOs, they may not be perfect, they may be niche, but those indie MMOs eventually will make a second MMO, and that MMO might be big time stuff. Look at like Ashes of Creation, right? Steven Sharif's company, Intrepid Studios. There's a lot of money behind it. That game looks great. Like visually, it looks great. Like there's a lot of cool, interesting aspects of it. Yeah, it's not released yet. It's taking a while because it had, MMOs take time to do well.
And they are also a gamble because I mean, they are the large, vast minority of the gaming space at the moment. Even though, like the games themselves may have a large player base, the availability of MMOs that are in the talking space are very limited.
Yeah, 100%.
So
it's
well, I really do hope that this whole fiasco and debacle has really opened folks' eyes to, you know, a company is not your friend. They don't necessarily have your best interests at heart. And Bobby Kotick was essentially the poster child of evil corporate greed that held the thing you wanted. Like, oh, there was this cartoon that I saw years and years ago. I was in my early 20s, and it had, I really wish I could remember who did it to give credit, but essentially it had a young person, very emaciated, hands so heavy they couldn't lift them, and they're looking up and they have their mouth open. And then there's this very large, grotesque man that has like a water bottle over the head and barely dripping it out like water so that they could get it. That is essentially like how we were viewed by Bobby Kotick, and I might be projecting a bit on that, but by no means did he have altruistic interest for us and what players of Blizzard games wanted or really needed from him at the time. So it was like we were being drip fed things that we wanted to hear, or parts of the game that we thought were going to help us get by, and then given false promises for A, B, C, or D, and then just having the rug pulled out from under us numerous time over and over and over again, all in the name of profit and hitting a bottom line and appeasing shareholders.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not to say anything of how the allegations that came out and how all of that was handled, which was, spoiler, not well at all.
Yeah. Yeah. It was definitely like the allegations were real. Like it was one of the reasons why Bobby Kotick was fishing to sell the company. Let's be honest there.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
just he wanted to get rid of that lawsuit bad. Um, and then he also looking just to sneak away,
I
just
would really like to know if he still holds some sort of responsibility for all of those shenanigans happening under his leadership.
he
Surely,
probably
surely
does.
there's more than just financial and job loss. There's got to be more than just that as his quote unquote punishment, because being given a golden parachute and left to just fly off into the sunset just doesn't seem. That's not the story that I want to have been told. But again, this is corporate stuff, so Lord knows how that's actually being handled. But I would like to think that he still has some responsibility to everything that had happened, and will have to own up to some of it at some point.
Yeah, I don't know. At the end of the day, I mean, one thing I know is that that book, I think, pretty much states the obvious of what we knew, is that Bobby Kotick was the center of all the problems at Blizzard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and you know, you know, if he was the kind of CEO that was involved in such a way that things at that company ran well, it's not only if you let us cook, we'll make you money. I think it's more of a great, but what also about your people? Let's make sure they're being taken care of. What's the pay discrepancies? Like, let's make sure there's none. Like, there was a lot of Blizzard. Just like people were willing to put up with so much because they were working at Blizzard. Because I mean, growing up and me playing Blizzard games, I wanted to be a game dev and I wanted to work at Blizzard because that was like the dream, right? Like I wanted to make a Diablo, I wanted to make a Warcraft. I wanted to, help design the game that I loved playing, the games I loved playing. Um, and then coming to see that, like, hey, someone was vehemently, I'm pretty sure I butchered that word. That's fine. Just constantly trying to put Blizzard in its place because they were not making. They spent money and didn't make him enough money. Is
Yeah.
so. It's such a. Well, we have shareholders. You know
Well,
what? Like,
to that point, there's a review that I'd like to read, and I normally wouldn't do something like this, but I think it will it will accentuate your point that you're making here. And I'm going to paraphrase part of it. You can go read it, but the review is coming from Goodreads. Well, no, it's on Amazon. It's on Amazon Prime is where I'm reading this review, and the person writing the review is called Half Man. And I'm going to paraphrase some of it, but the latter part I'm going to read in its entirety, so that you can see the point that I'm trying to make. That really, I think, surmises what it is that you're saying. Half Man says this: as a former game dev at Blizzard, I was cautiously optimistic about hearing insights into a company that I had worked at. The bottom portion here is: it's an enjoyable read and a fantastic look at the phenomenon I call corporate necrosis, the gradual degradation of the established culture that made Blizzard great slowly fell apart as Kotick and his minions vomit acid onto the award-winning franchises and sucked up the profit juice, leaving gaping holes in their reputation. A pungent cautionary tale to future game development studios considering on selling out. Because those shareholders, man, they really don't care.
They don't. They really don't. Nope. Ended on a real light note.
Yeah. Well, it's we've come out of. We started the show. Things got real dark. We brought the show back. We got to see and talk about the destruction that Kotick had done to the game, and then got to see him disappear, and really haven't heard of him or from him, which I think is a very smart idea. He should probably just retire on his island somewhere, and never bother the world ever again. But then we got to see Blizzard turn into and start to become what we have known it to be, with the new potential that it has. And we get to experience that now in full force with the War Within, which has, by all means, kind of exceeded our expectations. And so even though this kind of crap happened and we talked about it, I think it's really important that books like this do come out so that it's not so easily forgotten, right? Because how many times has there been some sort of scandal somewhere in the corporate space, whether it is in game development or otherwise, and it just is kind of relegated to the corporate space, and it kind of like loses its momentum in what people think about every day. In this particular case, since we are so involved in the ecosystem that is World of Warcraft, this serves as a reminder to never go back to that sort of place again. And I hope that whomever grabs onto the reins of leadership at Blizzard at this point going forward, whoever that may be in the different capacities in which leadership would have control of those reins, that they see this cautionary tale, that they see these things that just led the game and the culture there at Blizzard to just become a shell of itself, a shadow of its former glory, and to see the potential that we have now coming with the World Soul Saga, and how many players are actually back, and the conversations that we're having about the game, and not just World of Warcraft, right? Diablo is starting to have its resurgence. And then there are other titles that Blizzard is now paying a bit more attention to, if not more, which I wish were paid, but it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah. I know that the new CEO over Activision Blizzard as a whole is Matt Booty of Xbox. And then Joanna Ferris is the new president of Blizzard.
Right.
Which I don't actually. She doesn't do a whole lot of tweeting or anything.
Not much. She did put her last tweet, if I remember correctly, was about the is it Vestiges of Hatred, or what is the new Diablo expansion called?
Vessel of Hatred.
Vessel of Hatred. She made a tweet about that. Basically encouraging people to engage with it. It seems to be shaping up really nice. I haven't had a chance to jump into it myself, but some of my friends say that it's fantastic. But there is more than just Diablo and World of Warcraft at Blizzard.
Yeah.
Uh,
yeah, there is.
And I wish I could speak more intelligently on things like Overwatch or Hearthstone or Heroes of the Storm. Even I would really like to see Heroes of the Storm come back.
It's getting updates. It's good.
Yeah. Well, but all of that to say that I'm genuinely hoping that this warning piece, this marred history of Blizzard, will serve as a beacon, as not how to be, but how not to be, and how we should never go back. So that if whomever that happens to be in the future, like our leadership now seems very strong and seems very dedicated to the mission that has been declared moving forward. But should that change, or should their mind drift left or to the right, or to kind of sway a bit, if they happen to look back, they'll see that and go and are reminded, we can never go back. Never again. Never again can we be that Blizzard, that company that put profits over people ever again.
Yeah.
And while it's still again, it is a corporation. It is not your friend. The corporation does not have feelings. So let me stress that part. But the people who run it do. Right? The people who run it do. And I'm hoping the human aspect of game development and the joy of games and the wanting of telling a story in a collaborative way, not just with the developers, but also with the players. And we see those stories play out, and not just our current Blizzard titles, but Blizzard titles to come. There are a lot of things on the horizon, and soon we will be able to crest that and see what's coming up. So I'm hopeful, even though this is kind of a scar, for lack of a better pun, a scar on the history of Blizzard. Let it serve as a reminder. If you've recently done the Blood Elf Heritage Armor quest, you're going to know exactly what I'm calling back to. Let it serve as a reminder to never let that happen again, and move forward and be grateful that we have a path away from the darkness and a way to enjoy the game like we have before, but not just how we have before, but even greater and even more so, and telling stories that we'll be talking about for another 20 years.
Yeah. I'll need to pick up that book soon and just give it a read and be shocked by the end of it.
It is in my box right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that being said, thank you everybody for joining us in the tavern. We got the bill, but you cannot stay here because they're closing down, so they're asking you to leave. That's fine. Just be, adventure responsibly, and go read a book. go read a book. Let us know if you like it. So thank you everybody for joining us. We hope that you enjoy the 20th anniversary, and that you get to farm all your goodies. It's going to be here for the next few months, right through the next quarter, which is actually really smart. Blizzard put in a good filler raid before a next main raid in zone, which is actually really smart. It's really smart. So bright. So like
Yeah.
other MMOs are like dropping a raid right during the holidays, and Blizzard's like, yeah, no, it's okay. There's a filler raid. It's fine. There's all this cool like filler content you want to get. So Thank you everybody for joining us. Appreciate you all. You can find all our social medias at our link trees / WoW Nightcap. So you can find us all there to find all our things and find out whatever social media platform we're choosing to post on and not post on. So thank you everybody. Appreciate you all, and keep on adventuring. Bye everybody.